Hi everyone, welcome to Living La Vita Loca podcast, a retro gaming podcast for some of your retro gaming needs. My name is Fazz.
And I'm Rich.
And we have a guest with us this week. Somebody who has been on the podcast quite a few times, and you'll know hopefully quite well if you listen to us quite often. And is a lucky penny for lots of listens when it comes to trilogies. So hopefully that'll happen again tonight. Because we've had, I'd say that our third and fourth best listened to podcast episodes, Hitman and Mass Effect, both starred. Dun, 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 dun.
It's me. Hello.
It's me.
That was.
So
that wouldn't be a good superhero entrance, would it? In my head, it was Lord Flashheart. In my voice,
you want to try
it was
again?
more like a mouse. It's me.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
It is Panto season after all.
No, it isn't.
No. Shit. Oh god. Right.
Well,
Anyway,
American listeners.
yeah. I was getting told today about something that exists on YouTube that I desperately need to watch now called American People Watch Phoenix Nights, and I was just like, oh, I need to seek that out. I imagine that's absolutely amazing. They really struggle with the idea of a bit of blue, apparently. So yeah, so that sounds good. Yeah. So speaking of trilogy, then I'm hoping this is that I'm super excited. I bounded kind of over here, as much as my body could bring me to being nearly 40. Yeah, because I've been kind of looking forward to this for a few weeks now. We are going to do 2 weeks worth of Uncharted episodes. So Uncharted, the first 3, which were brought together under the guise of the Nathan Drake collection on the PlayStation 4. But I'm going to ask you guys what your experience is so far of what you've played and not played, if anything. And then next week we'll be doing Uncharted 4, Thief's End, and The Lost Legacy as well, which is, we'll come to that, but that isn't, it's Uncharted 5, but is it Uncharted 5 is my question, which I'll ask in about an hour and a half's time. So everyone remember that. Anyway, so starting with you guys then. Uncharted, for me, unstarted, so you guys go first before this time.
I was going to make a similar joke, and you've done it already.
Oh shit! Sorry.
I'll have to go with it was Uncharted territory, which is weaker, but you got there first.
No, that's good.
No, I'd done the Lost Legacy weirdly, because I think
Lost Legacy weirdly.
well, you've seen me.
Oh, badly.
Why are you spinning around in fucking circles? It's great.
We'll talk about the driving mechanics later, but no, I'd done that, and I think almost not too long after it came out, but I think it was because that was back when I had PlayStation Plus, and I think it was available and looked interesting.
Oh,
yeah. It wasn't anything that I went to a shop and went, that one. Like we all do these days still. How we all buy our video games. What can you recommend that pairs well with this beer and these crisps? No, it was, yes, I played that, and then I hadn't actually played any of the other ones, and then you banged on about it a lot. And
that makes it sound positive.
Yeah, you wouldn't shut up.
No, but I've seen Rich play a few bits of the other ones before he started kind of re-looking at them for this. So I guess I'd seen bits but didn't know the full experience, and I'd come in kind of at the wrong end, so had no clue who they were banging on about.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. I mean, yeah, we'll get there with that one. Yeah, that's interesting. Rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Podcast.
What do you want from me?
Yeah. So I would think then, therefore, from Fiona's description, then you're more in depth lore.
Versed.
Yeah, versed. Thank you. Well versed in Uncharted over the years.
Yeah, it's basically a not insignificant part of why I ended up getting a PS3 once upon a time, because by that point I was I'd had my Xbox 360 for however long and was increasingly getting bored of it. And I'd heard about this fun, hip series of video gaming things available in all good video gaming emporiums when they existed. God, I sound old.
Where we spoke to that shopkeeper a minute ago.
Yeah. And, it's got dialogue that you kind of get from I don't know, Joss Whedon and James Gunn type stuff, and everyone's kind of fun and witty and mows down a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, narrative dissonance alert, everybody.
Mm.
Yeah, so I'd heard about it and took the plunge, and yeah, kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I played them through on the PS3 originally. Can't remember if it was 2012-ish, might be slightly later, but it's there or thereabouts, right? Like, it wasn't as they were coming out or anything like that. It was a few years after the fact.
When they're all like £1 in CEX.
Basically, yeah.
There's so many copies of them splitting around.
Yeah, everybody else has played them through once and we're like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
And then obviously the PS Vita era, as has been discussed previously.
I just hoofed it out as a bonus episode last week. Well, you know, like the reuse
Just don't think we're avoiding it.
10 minutes of it. Like,
ended up playing it through again on the PS4 on the Nathan Drake collection, and have dipped my toes this time. I would be lying if I said I played them all through in their entirety or anything like that, because frankly life's too short and I've already played through them a couple of times.
But you already have, yeah.
So yeah, had a bit of a refresher, so apologies in advance if I forget some pretty colossal plot details.
I mean, I wouldn't worry about that too much. I don't think necessarily. Like, I've just played all 5 of them in a row, and in the last sort of 2 months, I'm still like, Like I said, I've forgotten already, like, from the first game. There's a lot of Uncharted. Like, there's a lot of the same stuff.
Quite a lot of Uncharted.
So where do you think, just to kick us off, where do you think that Uncharted is in the best-selling video game franchises of all time?
Ooh.
Because the reason I asked that question is because I feel like Uncharted feels like quite a big deal for people. And I was having this discussion today but maybe not as much of a big deal as Naughty Dog's The Last of Us.
Yeah.
So
I do kind of think it's been surpassed.
Yeah.
A little bit.
If you think about it, I don't worry about thinking about it. You can just give a random guess, obviously. But, like, you know, if you're going to give a number, and it's between 1 and 100.
Approximately 36.
Oh, what? I was going to say like 34. Damn it.
You can just say 34
I'll
if you
say
want.
34.
Let's speed that up.
Yeah.
58th. So it's not super high.
Okay.
I would have thought with 5 games it would have been higher, and I wonder if that's just the exclusivity towards the PlayStation.
Yeah, maybe, because I think it's only 4 and 5 you can get on like anything else.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Where's the top?
Mario, effectively, that is by like a country mile. So, but then that'll encompass.
But then you've not divided it by the number of instalments, have you? So
no,
but like just
why
out of
didn't you do
curiosity,
your work properly?
yeah, I mean, it's because
he's done more than I have.
Per instalment popularity rating.
Yeah, I just didn't care enough really about myself or my own self-esteem till now. One thing
Sorry,
no.
Out of curiosity, did you happen to jot down whereabouts The Last of Us was in that?
No, but it was definitely in the top 20. I blasted past it like on the way out.
That kind of tracks, because I mean, like, in terms of like jumping to other media, you got the Uncharted film, right?
Yeah.
Which, full disclosure, for the purposes of covering everything, I have not watched.
Yeah, good.
But you know, I got the impression it took them quite a while to get it off the ground and get it sorted, and ignore the fact that everybody wanted Nathan Fillion in the lead role, but hey, that's my personal beef.
I hadn't played Uncharted.
Whereas Last of Us seemed to get a reasonably premium, glossy-looking TV show pretty quick by comparison, I thought.
Yeah.
I always kind of figured that was a bit of a...
The HBO situation.
Bit of a gauge of popularity. I always got the impression that Last of Us was a bit... hitting a bit heavier.
Yeah, and also it probably feels more like 2020s-ish like style, I would say, rather than...
Yeah, that's fair.
Whereas Uncharted feels, certainly for me as a wider media, feels like kind of a bit sort of back in the early 80s maybe, like in terms of how it feels. In a good way, but like as in, you know, that swashbuckle sort of, you know, rollicking adventure.
Turn on, tune in, turn brain off.
Yeah. Which are less popular nowadays, and that's probably why I'm so disconnected with the world, really. Like, because everything's grim as fuck.
Yeah, real life's bad enough.
One thing I just want to square off before we do dive into Uncharted was that I was looking back and I was like, you know, and I was trying to, I guess, pare away. You know, I struggle with a retro gaming podcast for some of your retro gaming needs, and kind of thinking, I love the tagline, and that's kind of what we are, but also always been a bit like, oh, don't do all retro. And looking at the timeline of Uncharted from 18 years ago to now.
18?
Yeah, the very first game 18
God.
years ago. So it's like, it's funny because it kind of goes from the edge of what a lot of people would call retro into today's era. But even then, you know, like the Nathan Drake collection is 10 years old this month.
Good grief.
You know, that isn't the remastered version of the first 3 games. So it does feel like
we
it's
could be remastering a remaster sometime soon, realistically. Jeez.
So it is interesting that's so. And then I also thought about, and just this is completely deep dive into our own personal thing, but then it was something you mentioned the other day, and I was like, the thing that's retro about this podcast is us, like it's in and the way that we record this, and the way that we speak about video games and going to emporiums and shopkeepers and things. But like, is in. So actually, I'm quite okay with it now, thinking that we're the old fucking part of the podcast, not necessarily all of the games.
Good point. Well made.
But yeah, so. I think I missed out on Uncharted because I think that was probably around the time that I was freezing my PS3 in the freezer to try and make it work again after I played too much Modern Warfare 2. Fiona's looking at me.
I didn't have a console till, well, just before I actually played Uncharted Lost Legacy, so like, 2016? I was very late console kind of on board.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously I knew friends who had things, and I know things about, like, you know, blowing on cartridges and, like, you know, the red circles of death on your Xbox, but I've never heard of someone trying to freeze the place. Was that like a put your phone in rice kind of urban?
Yeah, it really
this
was.
This iPhone
yes.
will clean right up if you just stick it in the microwave on high.
Yeah. So I mean, going back to one of the episodes ages ago, my PlayStation heated up quite a bit, and then just didn't enjoy being in Modern Warfare 2 for too long. Not even the main game, because I've never played it, the Spec Ops, and then just shut down. And I'd read somewhere that if you wrap it in a tea towel and put it in the freezer for an hour, it can come straight back. So
where did you read that?
the glorious internet, maybe. Course, you know, probably like an Exploder cheat cartridge told me or something. I don't know. So yeah, that's kind of why I feel like I missed out on Uncharted, because then I kind of flitted between having a PS3 again, not having a PS3. I mean, again, I was talking to my friends from home, my long-term friends, long-term friends, who were tied to me, and which you two now are.
Change locks.
About the other PlayStation 3 that had the TV dropped on it as well, so it's not been great. So you know, like, wow. I just imagine my PS3 at home right now is about to blow up, like thinking about it. So that's probably why I kind of missed Uncharted a little bit. I kind of flitted between it, even though I was always really interested in it, and I just never really kind of got around to it till now. So, and then just played the Nathan Drake collection, because it's so dirt cheap to get the disc for like £9, like for PS4 or whatever it is, and probably even get it cheaper, like, you know. And I think, is it on? Well, no, it's not on PS Plus, but you can buy it like when it's in the sale for like £7 digitally as well. So it's well worth having. So after all that pre-ramble out of the way, Uncharted, timestamp, cool, good. Tell all the people 13 minutes, don't listen to the rest. Perfect. So should we do a bit of I feel like, should I do a tee up, like, and then we just kind of go at it and see what happens. Cool. So a PlayStation exclusive, like I said, Naughty Dog, that have done Crash Bandicoot, Jak and Daxter, The Last of Us, a third-person platform shooter adventure game. Describe it as, probably.
I was going to say, you're asking me or telling me?
Yeah, I'm just kind of like, until I say something fucking stupid, okay. It's fine. Yeah, cool. Yeah. So apparently, Nathan Drake was designed as an everyman who is just resourceful. So we'll see how that
Sorry, such a bad cop.
Yeah, so we'll see how that actually bears out. So the story of Uncharted, Drake, Victor Sullivan, so Nathan Drake, Victor Sullivan, and Elena Fisher, they're on a quest to find the gold of El Dorado, left like in a trail by Sir Francis Drake himself. I kind of had the rest of the plot for the first game as a nondescript angry Englishman and a Latin American pirate stand in the way, and then for no reasons whatsoever, Nazis kind of become involved. Was kind of like as far as my plot went. Does anyone want to? Have got any advances on that for plot in the first game? I don't feel like that much more.
I did lose it quite early on. I feel like I was with them for, you know, after some treasury MacGuffin to do with Francis Drake, and then I just didn't ever understand who the bad guy was and why he was shooting at us, and why it almost felt at one point, because the action moves to an island and suddenly there's just waves of these people who I think you're meant to be like, oh, they're this other bad guy who wants the treasure, presumably for worse reasons, and we'll probably need to talk about, like, you know, is anyone really the good guy if you're just stealing some treasure on a piece of land that doesn't belong to you? But like, you know, he's the bad guy, fine. And you're supposed to think, I think, these are his sort of, you know, insurgent armies or whatever. But it just, because it wasn't really explained very well to me, I just sort of felt like, have people spotted that I'm here to do a British museum on this place?
Yeah.
And just wander in, stuff my pockets full and wander back out again.
Yeah, that's very much, I guess, a prevailing sort of thing that seems to happen across the entirety of Uncharted. The wanton destruction of everything.
Antiquities.
Yeah.
And there's so much distraction, so much distraction.
Yeah, and the stealing of them all. Yeah. Rich, do you have anything else to add to the plot or the idea around like Uncharted Drake's Fortune?
I mean, I particularly the original trilogy, like whenever you kind of get to the back third, there was usually that kind of hard left into some kind of weird bullshit, right? And that was usually the point where I'm like, yeah, I'm not paying attention anymore. You've lost me. And like, I get that it's a kind of tip of the cap to Indiana Jones and all that kind of stuff. But you know, Harrison Ford and friends did it better. Fee has her hand up.
Yeah, this is good. Let's do hands.
No, but I was thinking, like, it's also, you know, Lara Croft things often have that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I would argue the Tomb Raiders that I've played and, you know, your Indiana Jones franchise, I think they're better at... Okay, so I've only really fully played the first one. I've seen bits of the second, third and fourth, and I've played The Lost Legacy, right?
Yeah.
But even from that, I just feel like it doesn't come out of anywhere narratively. What happens is you get this left field, slightly like, you know, mythological bollocks. And if they'd been throughout going, ooh, there are some gnarly carvings on this wall, I wonder what these monstrous things are, I'd have been like, oh, okay, they were all along, they were breadcrumbed, we didn't think about it because we just thought, you know, oh, silly natives of this place that were stealing its fortunes, much like the British Museum people would have thought. This is basically just like role-playing as like the British Museum founders, isn't it? Like, so I don't know, I just think it wasn't telegraphed enough for it to make enough sense for me to get on board, because I mean, admittedly my reaction was different because they were just so gross. I was like, oh no, I don't even want to look at what I'm shooting, which it turns out is not the way to play a shooting game. But it didn't actually make any sense whatsoever.
No, the twists with Uncharted, as Rich just alluded to, with the sort of supernatural feelings towards the end of all three of the first games, like, again, just because I'm so oblivious to life, like I managed to avoid all twists in this. That isn't so. I feel like I'm not necessarily. I know of a couple of people, and it must bear out being the 58th best-selling franchise rather than the first best-selling. I know a few people who haven't played these games, so trying not to do all the spoilers. Like I managed to get to that without knowing there was any twist whatsoever, and that really, certainly in the first game, threw me for a loop to the point where I was like, this, as you said, this is so fucking stupid. Like, isn't it? Did it like take such a hard fucking turn that I almost like felt like I want to stop? Like, as in, not necessarily, but you like you said, you have to turn your brain off massively.
Yeah, and I think the first game is the worst one for it.
Yeah,
like
that's fair. Like, I think the other ones get away with it.
Yeah, I think they do a little bit like he was just saying, that kind of slight setup, a little bit of a, you know, it comes less out of nowhere, I think, for 2 and 3. Still kind of out of nowhere. Yeah. But, you know, a little bit nearer than nowhere.
I mean, can we be accused of hand-wringing, considering that every time Drake falls off a fucking 50-foot cliff, he's absolutely fine? Like, as in, and he has the grip of a
but if you fall off the wrong cliff, he dies.
Yes, it's true. Yeah, it's true. Like, and he has a grip that... I just want to see, like, the arm wrestle between Lara Croft and Nathan Drake. I just want to see the grip, like, tussle, like, as in... Because, like, the amount of hanging these people do, and also... to an extent further than that as well. Victor Sullivan, at the age of what must be 50, 55 maybe in the first game, maybe and he's he's always just darting about too, and these people are just I guess that are they more supernatural than the supernatural beings that come towards the end of the game would be.
Oh, interesting.
I've got a lot of thoughts on this because I hated the platforming.
Okay.
And I don't know. It's hard to criticize, isn't it? Because it's a video game, and if you had the arm strength that I do, it'd be a very short game, and you just turn around and go home. But I think
one monkey bar, I'm done. One monkey bar, I'm out.
But I just think there was something about it that was so unbelievable, and even when I've seen you play the later ones, it remains still somehow visually very unbelievable. And I think part of it is just the amount of time he does hang stuff for, but I think actually a lot of it is about the ridiculous leaps and how it goes out of its way to show him sort of like having some jeopardy, so he grabs onto a ledge and then he'll wave an arm out and magically get it back. I'm like, no chance.
Yeah.
And there's also the bit where you can shoot. You can hang on to this cliff face that is on a waterfall, so presumably very fucking slippy. You can get your pistol out of your pocket, you can aim, and then you can shoot somebody. Like, even Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible did not pull that shit. Correct me in the comments, but I don't think he did.
He would have done it himself.
He would have.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise could do that. I think, Tom Cruise legit could do these things, but yeah, it was a little bit like too much.
Yeah. I said that Nate's knees must be fucked from his animation of running down the stairs in this one. He kind of runs like in a weird diagonal sideways motion, like he's in like leg over leg. And I'm like, I don't want to, and I'm probably going to go into this in more detail as well, but people, they need a tailor. Like, someone needs to dress these people correctly for these, expeditions. It's absolutely just mind-blowing, the clothing that Nathan Drake works through the entire series, and also all his companions too. Nobody dresses for the occasion. Upset about that a little bit. I won't lie.
Let's do this, because I have a lot of notes about jeans, right?
Right, I'm having a cake.
But like, okay,
this might cross Venn diagram with my chafe note.
Well, yeah, it probably does, because I went to uni in the sort of like
I've worn jeans.
No, but it's still just about okay to wear like slightly wide trousers, like the first time, well, not even the first time round, let's be honest, our first time round.
Yeah.
And I had to cycle into like my lectures. And I had like a cool poncho, because obviously I did.
Of course you did.
But it didn't really cover my kind of like lower legs. So I'd get into lectures and they'd look like tie-dyed my jeans just from the bottom up with the water. And my God, it was like carrying several sacks of like sugar strapped around my legs to walk upstairs and things. How is Nathan Drake routinely falling into like every liquid he can find and then still like sort of tumbling out of the shadows to pinpoint precision headshot people? Like, again, bullshit. And also, by the time you add up all that like jeans material, how's he hanging on to anything? And also like, it's just but it's just not a good fabric for anything, is it? Like, active. There's a reason no one's in the gym in their jeans, isn't there? Like, even the most Instagram people are not in the gym wearing jeans because it's shit.
I like to think that maybe in the background, like Sir Francis Drake is kind of in one of his many weird and wonderful puzzles, has kind of put one of those drying machines you get in the swimming pool. You just stand into and just like, it was always going to be shit. It was always going to be shit for you to get down here. We almost blew you up. We almost spiked you and stuff. But being wet is the final straw. So I'll just bang this here for you. That isn't.
You earned it.
Yeah. Back 600 years ago, it seemed to be really easy to make all these mechanisms. So why not put that in? So.
Tumble dry.
Should we talk about some things that help to gloss over the shit bits then? Like, as in, because
it is a video game.
Yes, that's what I'm just thinking. Like, as in, I feel like we've started real heavy, Last of Us heavy, on some of the stuff that is pretty tough to swallow in the first game. What, Rich? Have you?
Find some positives.
It's your turn to talk. What's
all right.
What would you say is really positive about Uncharted: Drake's Fortune?
So for the first time I played it, I think what jumped out was that kind of cinematic ambition, and I pick that phrase very carefully because I don't think it necessarily makes good on it, and I don't think it will until the second game.
Yeah.
But it tried, and you could see what it was going for. And I know you kind of alluded to the sort of staircase animation and things like that, but there are a lot of incidental animations and things like that that it puts in the world that I would struggle to point at and say where I'd really seen anything like that before. And I mean, you know, considering when it came out, those sort of move forward a little bit, stop behind some waist-high cover, crouch down, shoot everybody. Like, you know, there was a lot of it going around.
But prior to that, though, there wasn't, was there? Yeah, so.
Yeah, exactly. And so you had like Gears of War, you had this, and then a lot of things seemed to come out. And I don't know if the timings line up and this was like one of the first, but certainly for me, it was one of the better examples, I think, of how you could do it. However, I fully appreciate that it does drag when like that is its trick, and it just does it. Whereas at least later games, I think it's fair to say it mixes it up a little bit better.
Yeah, I've got platform, gun, platform, gun, platform, gun,
gun.
I'm dead inside.
Gun. Yeah, So like the pace just drops off. But sorry, Fee has a hand again.
No, I was waiting for you.
No, it's all right. You're going to be here a while.
Get in now.
Because I mean, as you know, and you know, apologies, Fazz, but I wasn't a huge fan. And
why are you apologising to me for that? Did you sense that I was?
Oh, I don't know. You're always so enthusiastic.
Oh, sorry. No, I am. That isn't about everything, but that isn't. Yeah, you know, this one. Yeah. Okay. You carry on.
Yeah, because I think I definitely as well was coming out without that nostalgia, and you know. I think that means I was very unforgiving about some of the things that are quite just old at its time as a game as well. Like, why am I picking up my own ammo like some kind of caveman? Like with a button.
Oh, that's so good.
There's no need for that, is there?
Just the thought of this caveman.
Just absorb it.
Where am I going to find more rifle ammo?
Just absorb it into the bottom of your jeans somehow. Like.
By the Neanderthals died out. They stopped picking up individually. The sapiens were like, I'll just do a sweep of the area and it'll just go into our pockets.
Fucking boom.
Yeah, so, but the combat really annoyed me because my notes were also like, it's just, you do a platform bit, which is terrible platforming, we'll talk about it later, but I'll save it. And then you do this big wave of like, oh god, I've wandered into another arena with all this waist-high cover. And then my note about this is I did it on easy because I was trying to get through it for this.
I'm trying to get through it.
But the combat just went on too long. Like, I think I could have done with like either one wave fewer each time, or bigger gaps between the next bit of combat. And it just felt so relentless by the end. And the combat wasn't anything special. It was just shoot people in head.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The one thing I would say about it, that at least they were thinking about it, and it's funny that you both mentioned Indiana Jones, Tomb Raider, Gears of War, because that was kind of like my mix that I had.
Yeah,
they're the three.
Diagram,
But the fact that whilst it was always the same, at least then an enemy would throw a grenade towards you and make you move, and you had to then, you weren't just behind the same cover and going, right, I can take all 17 people out from here. There is it a level called Trapped, isn't it, where you kind of drop into a central sort of circle area where you come down a set of stairs. This is later on, it's like level chapter 15, and you are just literally trapped like with just waves and waves of enemies. And I think you have to like take out like 40 enemies or something like that, and they end up, you just almost get to the point where it's like Resident Evil, like I'm down to like my last bullet before the next guy comes along to shotgun me. I've kind of got to take him out to get his shotgun, to then evolve to getting the assault rifle, to get the guy with the sniper at the back, that kind of thing. So yeah, there is a lot of that. I do think that they at least tried to think about moving you around while that was happening. That's not to excuse it. I just think there was a little bit more to it. Do you know what? I was going to come in with the isn't the gunplay shit scenario. Well, I'm here defending it, but I just think there's like a little bit more than it could have been at least. But yeah, there's a lot of just do the same thing over and over again. Yeah, I also said that it felt a bit weird that before the supernatural bullshit kind of happens at the end. It feels like they're all really just on a jolly fucking holiday, like as in, like almost too much. Like as much as I was just sort of, saying about The Last of Us, and I probably could have done a bit more grit. Like you are being shot at by like the entire army in, unknown, uncharted territory. Like as in, and Drake and Elena and Sully are just so quippy, like so happy, and it's just like it just kind of got a bit like I was like, wow, you know, like as in these guys having a really good time, and so am I, but you know, they probably could have grounded it a bit more.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because you got you know, Drake sitting there behind his waist-high cover, going like, "Oh no!" when a grenade comes near him, and then he pops up and like mows down more people than the end of fucking Commando, or something, you know. And it's those bits where I think, with hindsight, you can see what they were trying to do, but they just hadn't worked out the kind of pacing, or maybe confidence is the wrong word, but like, they were clearly making a video game, and clearly went in and made, okay, you'll have this platform bit, you'll have the shooting bit, and it was almost like they didn't have confidence in their storytelling abilities, which, considering they would go on to do like The Last of Us and stuff like that, sounds ridiculous. But I do genuinely think that they're obviously had some technical limitations and getting to grips with how to make a game like this. I get that, but at the same time, it is almost like they just didn't want you to slow down enough to absorb a story or have a bit of a break. Like they wanted to just get you on that rail and keep you moving. And that, to me, feels like they were almost a bit nervous about the idea. And like, oh, is this going to work? Could we pull this off? And then by the time you get to some of the later games, particularly Uncharted 4, they are perfectly happy to just be like, you are going to sit there and you're going to fucking wait, my friend. So I do think that there's a kind of nervousness to it.
Is it? I was trying to put a finger on it. It feels like like you said, the storytelling is naff, but I guess like the scripting and the voice work is really good. Like, as in almost, and that's what kind of like carries me through this almost. Like, whilst I was just complaining about the quippy, happy-go-lucky, I do feel like they are, apart from obviously their supernatural abilities, like certainly and I'm going to say this about 1,000 times probably the next two podcasts, I just couldn't get enough of Nate and Elena, like, and do you know what I mean? And I just wanted, like, the Fiona's just made a face.
I think the casting is good, right? I think the casting's really good, and I've got a note for Uncharted 2 actually, which I do think applies here. But like, a lot of the exposition, especially early on, is clunky or not particularly great, but it's usually compellingly delivered, at least. And I just think it took them a little while for everything to kind of coalesce.
You scrunched your face up.
Well, I've got problems with Elena, but like I can wait till Uncharted 2 because I feel that'll, you know, be useful then.
Will it?
Yeah, but I did have a lot of problems.
So I can get that game too.
But there's a lot of things that I didn't like about the camera in this, and I don't know if they get better. Obviously, by the other one I played, it was so far down the line that obviously it was better. But this one, like, you jump onto the platform. And then, for whatever reason, the game devs were like, do you know what you really like when you're platforming with precision is like complete loss of camera control and a fixed perspective, like zooming out to 10 foot above your head. And sometimes it'll zoom right in. And sometimes it's up Nathan Drake's bum. And there's just pixels. There's nothing there. Do you know, like, what?
Because it's all been ground away from shooting. It's just his arse is just pixels now.
But it happened when I entered a room a couple of times. Like, I just walked through an archway like a normal person. And sometimes...
Sorry, that sentence made me laugh so much. Normal archway walking. Like, come on, guys, get the program.
I mean, I guess in context, I mean like a normal person following about 2 foot behind somebody else, watching their every move. But then suddenly I was like, it was almost like I was looking at Nathan Drake from like a CCTV camera kind of corner of the room perspective. And I couldn't change which corner of the room. It was just, well, you're there now. And I was like, well, I hope there's nothing interesting to my left or any enemies to my left because I'm not seeing those. And then suddenly I took a couple more steps in the same sodding room and the camera just drops and it's like almost at his ankles. Like, for what purpose? For what purpose? Like, he's not got shapely ankles. They're just encased in like, you know, polygonal jeans.
But that's, I guess that kind of ties to what I was saying about that kind of nervousness behind like the
everything.
Cameras.
Yeah, no, genuinely, because like, bearing in mind that these are the people that made like Crash Bandicoot and stuff like that, so they were used to like, you know, we've made a 3D character, 3D world, but we're showing it like you're effectively playing it like it's 2D, right?
Yeah.
Effectively, but they would routinely have, you know, a kind of different angle for different levels. You might be running into the camera at one point, out of the camera, alongside, all that kind of stuff. And I do wonder if part of the camera work in Uncharted 1 was because that was what they were comfortable with, to kind of put levels together and and a route. And I'm not I'm not defending it because it is bad to
No,
play.
we're just trying to be
but
fair. We're just trying to be fair to it, aren't we?
I think I can see where it came from.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
And
I do appreciate it's always time as well. You know,
Yeah,
this is a problem that I have with it because I'm just not. I don't have that muscle memory of games like that on a console anyway.
That's
so
fair.
I get that.
Yeah.
I mean, I like say this is my first wire-to-wire completely, new to it really effectively. I mean, I used to watch my mate and saw maybe like the last couple of like levels, and I just specifically remember a lot of hanging around behind boxes trying not to get shot, and it's just like that kind of bore out this time. But I think Rich's point, that's what I'm feeling as well, almost like knowing where it's coming from and what games were like in 2007. I can totally understand that. Yeah, now playing it in 2025, it's like, average at best probably. But then back then, I can see why. I can't see why it was so lauded necessarily. Like, I think IGN gave it like a 9 out of 10. Do you know what I mean? Like, as in, but I can see how it spawned a franchise from the ideas that were given in this game.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I do wonder if nowadays it feels like, to me, the kind of game that would almost be ripe for a remake.
Yeah.
And you go back, you redo it with what you know from, Uncharted 4 and whatnot. And I do wonder if you could make something pretty cool. But then the problem is that I think the fundamental story compared to some of the other games is just not as good. I don't think.
But like you said before, that they could have put not necessarily cutscenes in, but they could have put more character. And if I am going to be as basic, more cutscenes to explain what's going on, a bit more
context.
Yeah, context, gravitas, even maybe like kind of things where you just sort of you feel like what you're doing actually matters. Like, as in,
put some stakes on it rather than just the kind of I don't know. It's sort of, it always feels like you're skimming the surface with this one, I think.
And that felt that way for about 75% of the game, and then it becomes from a hide behind a box shooter and cover shooter to almost like a hip firing run and gun. As in the last sort of 4 or 5 levels,
which you do have to literally do at one point. And I was like, you haven't taught me this game. Fuck you very much.
I was like, again, that sort of left turn with what happens with the inverted commas story, and then almost it presents a different game to you than what you're meant to be doing, and it's like, and then it does try and put a bit of stakes on it, but it doesn't feel earned at all. And you're like, what's it? Just it kind of explodes all of a sudden in all the wrong ways. But it for most of it does a job probably.
It does. I guess the other bit that comes to mind is jet skis.
Yeah, I've written that in caps. Well, I've actually written the speedboat in caps because I never got my head around that it was a jet ski and not a speedboat. But I spent enough time with it, so.
Oh no.
I don't know how you found it, but I found this driving bits are never my favourite bit of any game, right? Okay. Mario Kart excluded. But this was just awful. At a couple of points, you've got to get on a jet ski, and you've got to James Bond your way through basically a sort of gallery of villains trying to shoot you. Yeah, for some reason, for some completely inexplicable reason, the river is full of kerosene barrels. Yeah, so actually, I think
they do that. I've been in a river before.
It would have made a lot more sense for this to be some kind of illegal waste dumping operation that you stumbled into, and the reason they're trying to kill you isn't because you're trying to nick their artifacts. They don't even know is there yet because no one's opened the doors till you do.
Fix the story. Well done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can pay me later, naughty dog.
They won't do that.
why would you be chucking kerosene barrels in a river in the middle of your own hideout in rapids where it could knock into your own hideout and explode it? So that made no sense. And then also the handling of the jet ski is terrible. And for some reason, you have to inch for basically the controls. You're driving the jet. I've never played 2 characters like this before, or hopefully ever again. And you're basically driving the jet ski as Nathan Drake.
Yeah.
But then Elena's on the back of it, and you're also having to pull. Is it R1, R2 to shoot?
Yeah.
So I couldn't make the controls were so awkward for
Do you have to stop to shoot? I
feel
no,
but yes. Technically no. But you try holding down the trigger, but also R1 and R2 or whatever it was, and just the combination of buttons. So I was shooting forward majestically, hitting a rock, realizing I was being shot at, seeing a barrel coming towards me, frantically having to stop the motion of the jet ski, shoot a barrel, shoot a bad guy, inch forward again. It wasn't going to win any sort of cinematography awards, and that was the times that I actually got anywhere. I also died quite a lot.
Yeah, but to be fair, watching Fee play through this, I had a lovely time. I had so much fun.
Schadenfreude.
Oh, it was great. It was brilliant.
So angry.
I haven't laughed that much in a very long time. It was great.
But it also goes on too long. Everything in this game.
Yeah, it does.
When they've got a piece that they think is good, they just put it in. Again, like you say, they could have put more character stuff or like a shorter overall story. But they're just like, do you know what you love? You're loving this. We're going to do it all over again, but for even longer.
Yeah. It is weird. I think that the end of the game just reminded me like just the shit show that it is, and I don't know what it reminded me, but like I remember like kind of like towards the end and like in a really perilous situation, you kind of leave Sully, like, and you kind of come back to him in that time where he's kind of left the game for a bit, And it's not really a spoiler. He kind of gets shot and comes back, as everybody does in every, every movie or every game ever. And I think I left him in like what I would describe as possibly the most dangerous room in the entire world at that point. And yet 12 minutes later, he seems to be pulling up on a speedboat going, "Hey, you guys! I got the gold and I got a speedboat." It was a speedboat. That's what it reminded me. And it's just like, just so disjointed beyond belief towards the end.
Unless you just assume that Nathan Drake is very bad at this. Like he's just done all the stuff that he didn't need to do, and Sully was like, "Oh, I guess I'll just pick up this box here. Here's the treasure, and I'll just load it on this speedboat in the back entrance and leave."
Eyes on the prize.
I also noted as well, and I don't know if you guys want to say anything else, but I just thought this would be a good sign off. So I don't know if you've got anything else you want to say about this one before we give it a score as well, but I'll try to.
Kind of a more of a general point about the gunplay on the Nathan Drake collection,
okay,
on like PS4 and stuff. I think it's a little bit snappier than I remember it on PS3, and it's still floaty as fuck.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does
say.
I just thought it was really interesting that I think that the last bit of speech that sort of they sign off on is like, I think Elena says, "Oh, you owe me a story." And I was like, "You're too fucking true." On this game here, But then the fact that Drake then goes, "Yeah, I'm good for it." Like, is in that speaks of not nervousness. That is almost
that's a fair point.
Yeah. No, we're going to sell this shit. We're going to sell it hard. Like,
we'll see you at the bank.
Yeah. So, it always felt like they almost knew they had done enough, even in game, to say that it was going to happen again. So
maybe that's it though. Is that feeling of doing enough, for like we've done enough, we've got the enough ideas in to prove a point, and then we can go and actually make some good stuff.
I also, and just thinking about like my last sort of verdict notes and stuff, I did say that at least the environments, whilst I know the platforming's like a bit difficult, I thought the environments that they do it within, whilst you are just in this one, again, every part of this conversation feels like it's going to build to, but it was better here.
Yeah.
But that is in that. I think that if you just take this for what it was, and I wrote these notes straight after just playing this game by itself, that is in without playing all the rest of them. I felt that the environments were pretty good to play in and felt, like a cool world. Just a lot of green and shrubbery and water, but I thought it looks good on the PS4 remaster. But like you say, shit gunplay. Puzzles weren't up to much really, and I know you guys like your puzzles and stuff, and it wouldn't have been touching anything that you'd have enjoyed previously. I don't think on other games.
I have written, this is a puzzle spoiler, but it's also not a puzzle spoiler because it's not really a puzzle. What I did like was he had like a little notebook and sometimes referred to stuff, but not very often. There weren't many puzzles, and what they were not very puzzly. There was one point where like he mutters, "Oh, the key symbol, it's the same," and it's like, what does it have to do with the tower? And the keys are in the tower. There's keys in the tower. That's what the key symbol has to do with the tower. That's not a puzzle. That's like I don't know, if you ask a 6-year-old to make you a treasure trail.
I had not problems, but certainly had notes on the puzzles throughout the series in terms of how they develop and things. But they started off pretty dumb. Would be the easiest thing to do.
Again, like what else was happening at that time? Probably not much. I mean, Tomb Raider was very much like push this block over to one of the few other places you can push it and then jump on it. I don't know. I'm probably judging quite harshly.
I can't remember. Does the first game have like the kind of hint system?
Yes, it does
So-
after a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know at least in Uncharted 2, I got the impression that they weren't massively quick to like have side characters tell you the answer to puzzles.
Yeah.
They would still do it,
Mhm.
but like I found the hint system in that one kind of onwards to be actually just the right side of helpful
Yeah.
more often than not. But I've always had the kind of faint memory that in Uncharted 1 it was a little bit too obvious. But
Yeah.
I
At
can't
one point, it
remember
just
if-
goes, "Here's the answer." Like,
Yeah.
is it,
it is like that, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. Okay. Cool. I just couldn't remember if I
Yeah.
remembered it right, or if
I-
it was just like the puzzles are so easy.
You're not here for
that-
the puzzles.
Yeah.
Let's get back to shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd got Professor Layton called who wants his puzzles back. So
Yeah.
right, should we try and give this a score then?
Get the spreadsheet out.
I've got this as my sentence goes: the most blank game ever made. That is in terms of a score. So I've got the most out of 10 game ever made. For me personally.
How do you want to do it? Should we go round the table?
Should we try? Should we just do where we say it all at
Oh,
the
we
same
say it
time?
at the
Even
same
though
time.
I can
All
vastly
right.
see that this is going to be quite variable. I think compared to
all
usual.
right. Yeah.
We're normally quite in sync, but I think this one's going to be a bit different, which will be interesting.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
All right.
1, 2, 3, 6.
Five. Ooh.
Well, that works out quite well in the end, doesn't it?
We
Like,
can average that.
yeah, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, 5, and I think that's probably fair. And for us, for our scoring, for anybody that maybe hasn't listened to the podcast before, we always say that 5 is the actual average. And if you listen to the bonus podcast on our very first episode, we talked about our arbitrary numbers, and at the very end of that podcast, we were talking about how 7 isn't average, 5 is average. So that's probably about right from what we were just saying. I think.
I'm comfortable with that. I think like given the 18 years you say it was. Like,
18 years last week.
yeah.
Yeah.
So for an 18-year-old game, yeah, I think I think that's fair.
Should we spin it forward 2 years?
Yeah, why not?
So 13th of October 2009, Nathan Drake. He is approached by Harry fucking Flynn, who is played by a chap called Steve Valentine, who is a magician in real life. So just thought I'd let you know that. And so Drake's approached by Harry fucking Flynn and Chloe Fraser to go on a hunt for Marco Polo's treasure. Again, this is my lovely synopsis that I kind of give.
no.
So, yeah, as there's no honour amongst thieves, Harry double crosses Drake, who ends up in prison early on. He loves prison. And then Drake is sprung by Chloe and Sully, who basically they head on the trail of Flynn and his boss, who's a Serbian criminal mastermind / absolute monster, Lazarevic. The goal being the legendary Chintamani stone, I think I got written down. I think maybe. The stakes, the end of the world, obviously. So, that is in as they kind of
those
are.
stakes rose.
Yeah. And Elena's back just because Drake needs to be kind of available, but also she's too much of a good character to not bring back in this one. They had too much of a good thing kind of happening. But again, Fiona, you speak whenever you want about Elena. We'll see how that goes. So I am interested to see what all these faces you're pulling about. So, so you kind of go from Istanbul in this one, is it the Museum of Antiquities? Probably, like I may as well say hello. To Borneo, to Nepal, I think is it Tibet at the end? Probably, yeah, I think it is Tibet. Yeah. So yes, because he asks what's Tibetan for RPG, and I found that quite hilarious at the time. So, that was. Did anyone want to have just a stab at what we want to go with to start off with on this? You said on the Golden Abyss that you played through Uncharted 2 several times since you played Golden Abyss.
It for a long time, like it was my favourite one. Going back now, I think I might revise that slightly. But yeah, no, it's certainly the one that I've played the most. It's for all the stuff I was saying about the kind of narrative pacing and all that kind of stuff in the first game. Like, don't get me wrong, it doesn't necessarily solve the problems of the dissonance of Nathan Drake mowing down hundreds of people.
But never really ever gets solved, does it?
I think going back to Uncharted 4, I can appreciate what they tried to do to resolve it. Didn't work, but at least they were starting to try and acknowledge it a little bit and give you ways around it. Uncharted 2 has some of my favourite set pieces in the series. It's got some of my favourite settings in the series. Like I love the Nepal sequences. It's got some really cool little bits like the train bit where it's basically just on a loop, but you don't really notice until someone says that's a loop, and you're like, oh shit, it is, yeah. And all that kind of stuff. It gives you some stealth sequences to play with. Granted, Nathan Drake is still shouting during it. Like, you know, at one point, you know, sneaking around the Istanbul Museum,
what the fuck's going on?
punched the guard's lights out and yelled, "Lights out!" while his mate is standing on the other side of a courtyard, and stuff like that. So, like, you know, it's still got its rough edges. But I think for me here, a lot of the kind of foibles in it are kind of more excusable. Like, I think they're a little bit more charming this time. Like, sure, if you're not on board with the climbing and stuff like that, it's not going to do much to convince you, but I think it puts you in more interesting situations with it, and a greater variety of situations. It's still a little bit clunky, you know, going back nowadays, but I think on the whole, a heck of a lot better than Uncharted 1. And have I got anything else in my notes?
Just emptied them all out. There we go, done.
I mean, yeah, to be honest with you, I didn't have a heck of a lot to add. I mean, you've still got, you know, odd little technical bits like the torchlight. You know, if he's holding it, or is he holding a torch, or it's on his waistband?
Yeah.
So like the torch can be faced in one way, but it will illuminate the opposite way if you spin the camera around and stuff like that. And again, Uncharted 4, they work out a way of tying it all together because he just holds the torch, and stuff like that. That again, you can kind of feel the sort of the development of things. But it's you still, knowing what you know about the series now and where it would end up going, you can kind of see how they clearly looked at it and went, okay, this is kind of the right side of like 80s action summer blockbuster that we want to go for. How do we build on this rather than Uncharted 1?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think the pacing's a little bit better. They give it more room to breathe. You've got incidental details like Nate starting to play Marco Polo in a pool on a hotel rooftop and stuff like that. Just silly little things like that that do nothing for the dissonance, but they're the kind of little interlude that I don't think you really get in Uncharted 1.
It's almost like the extra 2 hours that Uncharted 2 runs at adds all of those
that little
bits
bit
in
of
that are just
that little elbow room. So yeah, I think that's probably all the big bits from me.
Fee, I know you said you didn't really
I've not played it, but I've seen a lot of you playing it, and yeah, even just from watching it, it looks loads better. The puzzles are more puzzly, they're more intricate. I think the wow factor's there a bit more with the settings, and I don't know, I feel like a lot of Uncharted was a bit brown. So know, like, and you know, you get like all the kind of like exciting coloured statues and things like that. I do want to talk about like Chloe versus Elena.
Okay, cool. That'd be good. Yeah. I mean, should we try and do we need to keep that for after the Lost Legacy that focuses on Chloe, or do we need to keep that, or do we want to start doing that now?
I mean, we can do that now.
I want to let you guys filibust because, as we said, we never really edit the podcast. I really need a wee, so I'm going to run do that while you guys tap into that, and I'm going to listen. So professional.
Breaking new podcast.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
This is history in the making, isn't it?
The best bit about this is that Rich has heard all my thoughts on this, so you have to pretend you haven't.
I mean, I can, because it's that, or I listen to Fazz weeing.
Okay, I'll talk loudly. So, no, I guess my thing with Elena is I didn't want her at all in the first one because
right.
Anyway, but like, you know, I think she's a pretty blonde lady who's a reporter, and I think she's there to make you, the player, be like, I'm such an alpha male, I can get this lady with my amazing upper arm strength and my forward rolls. And I just didn't really get any sense of her character. She wasn't that useful. She was waving a gun a bit, but I mostly tripped over her. At one point,
she was definitely useless when she was on the back of that jet ski. Yeah,
and at one point she drops her own camcorder, like, what the fuck, Elena? That's like literally your job. I don't really know why she was there. She just kept waiting outside rooms while I did all the hard work for her. And there was nothing about her character that made me like, oh, you're an exciting one. It was just like, well, you're there.
thinking about it, in Uncharted 2, they give her a cameraman, so they don't even let her hold a camera.
Oh yeah, poor
Well,
Jeff.
well, good,
Jeff.
because she's
R.I.P.
bad at that.
Jeff.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they do have a couple of lines that kind of make it sound more like she's the kind of reporter that would go after somebody who needs a bit of an expose written on him, a bit of a crusader.
I got that more in Uncharted 2, definitely.
Yeah.
That she actually does follow stories rather than just. I mean, again, the first one, it's fuzzy on why she was there in the first place, apart from she'd heard he was doing this thing, and then it was more like she was just chasing this story, but it wasn't like investigation or I don't know. She seemed like a liability.
That's understandable.
But my biggest problem with Elena is that she's not Chloe, because Chloe is Claudia fucking Black. And if you've got a choice of
To
two,
use her full name.
put some respect on that woman, please. But like, if you've got a choice of two ladies and one of them is Claudia fucking Black, you go for Claudia fucking Black.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean,
I'm not going to argue.
No, I know. I guess that probably what I liked about Elena, maybe, in that this, and you are right, that is, in I guess that she doesn't really necessarily do much, but I don't know. I feel like she just keeps Drake grounded in so much that it's almost like he's so sassy and quippy and things and stuff, but he needs something to kind of care about, I guess, outside of his, because he doesn't seem to care about himself really necessarily, like, or anything outside of that. So I don't know. I certainly I think it's better to have this conversation a little bit later, maybe, because of how I felt about it. I didn't feel as strong about it at this point in the series. I felt stronger about it later in the series, for both characters, both Elena and Chloe, and growing to like them both. Chloe is amazing, and I will go into that a little bit more. Just so Lara Croft though, that as well, like almost too much ish in a way, like is into a certain degree. She ends up having her own spin on things, but because the Lost Legacy is quite short, you don't get loads of that at this point. Certainly, again, thinking when I'd only just played halfway through the second one, I was like, she's just Lara Croft, isn't she? Do you know what I mean? Like, kind of, like, and like get there to give Drake shit. So I didn't really have a strong handle at this point on necessarily either of them. I did like that Elena's sort of like, introduced herself to like Chloe as like Elena Fisher, last year's model kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I do think there's like some good tension there. I don't think that was necessarily the strongest part of this game. You got anything else to kind of like feelings and thoughts and things before I dip into my notes?
No, I can wait for your Chloe Fraser comments, but I think I did get that, like, Elena is a much stronger character in this, and that she actually is one. I feel like the first one she's there as an accessory, as a prize for Nathan Drake at the end. Like she's not doing anything, whereas this, it did feel like she had her own agenda a bit more.
Yeah, that's true.
She was also pursuing leads and things like that. Yeah. And I thought Chloe, from the bits I've seen, like, is a real breath of fresh air, because she isn't nice, and actually like that is still at a time when that wasn't necessarily that common. Do you know, like it?
Yeah, maybe I've been a bit unfair, sort of giving her like the old Lara Croft treatment there, because she has her own personality. Certainly,
she's challenging. She's like really flawed, but you want to watch her. She's a rogue, and I think that's where she's not really Lara Croft, because Lara Croft's a bit posh and untouchable, isn't she? Whereas like Chloe, I kind of think of her a bit like God, I keep going back to Indiana Jones. I don't know why. But
what a shock!
I know, there's no links.
Put a hat on him. Put a fucking fedora on him already. Come on.
But I think of it like, that sort of like Marion Ravenwood bit, where you're introduced to her and she's just slamming back those like snaky kind of vodka things in the middle of Siberia, just like burning her own eyes out with the alcohol. And
So
like,
in love with
you
Marion.
have a lot of.
Like,
But exactly, you're like, oh wow, you're dangerous, but I bet you're fun to be around. If you can kind of take care of yourself, and I get that kind of vibe off of Chloe. Like, you want to watch what she's going to do next, because it's going to be terrible in some way, but good fun.
Yeah, Indiana Jones.
The only other thing that I forgot to mention, looking at my notes, was the controls are still a little bit odd in places. Like, they're not like alien, but things like reloading, being on a weird button. And stuff like that. It's workable, but it's not until Uncharted 4 that the control scheme feels more standard. So we've still got that to contend
to look
with.
forward to.
Yeah.
I think that like there's definitely a benefit of playing this on the PlayStation 4 versus the original PlayStation 3, because the DualShock 3, as much as I love it and do kind of like try and push it forward, is like one of the best controllers, I think, but for a lot of reasons. But one of the things it did suck at was that the triggers, like they're so slippy at the back, and with all the gunplay you're doing, like it's in like, you know, it can be a bit much. So yeah, definitely I think that you gain that from playing on PlayStation 4. Yeah, I'm probably just going to say a lot of the same stuff that you did, Rich, in terms of like the set. I would say that this is what is so much better in this one, is that the first one doesn't really necessarily have any set pieces. I wouldn't say that you can point to and hang your hat off, whereas this one is it all set pieces almost in a way, like as in, you know,
it's
not
definitely that summer movie, like bam bam bam.
as soon as you, I think that the start's good, but as soon as you hit Nepal, like as in it is just seamlessly propulsive, like as in, and which I know from the way that the game flows, and you talk about the train, and I actually asked, put out on Instagram, I sort of said today that, you know, we're recording tonight, what are your favourite Uncharted moments from the first 3 games? And at Champion 2D Games, who you'd love a lot because he has an amazing Sega Mega Drive collection, but he sort of said, you know, this certainly the train, everyone talks about the train, and locomotion being one of the best levels, and probably the best level out of the whole series. You know, and at Harry Davis Coach, he's supported us and listened to us, you know, the whole time, and actually starting his own podcast soon as well. And he was sort of said the exact same thing. Just, you know, that part of it there is just, even though you say if you look at it, you are on a loop. The fact that they kind of make you do that sequence twice, the start of the game and
that's what I was just
again
about to say. Like what I also really like, you've got the technical proficiency of making that train sequence work in the first place, but because of how the game starts, you know, if you are on a train at this point in the game, it's going to end one way. So it's just how you get there, and so there's this kind of fun, dramatic tension to it as well. And yeah, I just think, like, as a sort of cinematic framing device, it's a big jump up from anything they did in Uncharted 1.
My issues, not only issues, but my biggest issues with this game is, again, that believability and the way it's almost like I'm already impressed. I don't need Drake to have been shot and fall from a train, and you know what I mean. And it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
Do you know what I mean? It's just, I know, but it's just, but
the stakes would have just been there if he was on the edge of a fucking cliff in a train anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like, and every 2 seconds another pipe comes off, and then you kind of have to balance it with, you know, and I guess the way that it's sold through Nolan North sort of like acting work, where it's like, oh crap, like, you know, just like that kind of saves it just a little bit, but it's still too much. It's just layering on these thick sort of overages, and it's like, you know, you've already blown up an entire building in Nepal, that just like, you know, after being chased by a helicopter, and then you get slung inside this shell of a train, and you get shot at by about 100 people with jeeps and stuff and things. It's just like, you know, like it's thrilling stuff, but they could have taken 10-15% off that, and it still would have been just as thrilling.
So are you saying it's gone too far the opposite way from Uncharted 1?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you want set pieces, you're going to have set pieces, bitch.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, like, and I'd never, like, you probably never necessarily, maybe in Gears of War, maybe in a couple of Halos in a first person sort of thing, maybe where you maybe never seen those kind of set pieces before. The fact that you got to control Drake as the building's falling, to the point where it did get a little bit annoying for me, almost like the part where you're on the jet ski, where I was like, I have to control Drake to get down to the bottom of the building to crash into another building to jump out of it, but I keep dying because I'm not doing that one thing where it's not quite telling me what to do. So that was annoying. So I was like, oh, but I also was like, I don't want you to take away the fact that I have to do something, but it's not clear at all what I'm meant to be doing right now. And I'm the only person in the entire world that had that problem.
Well,
but
I was just thinking,
it was like 10 times it took me to like get out of that building that's falling, and it's only meant to be like one little movement you're meant to make.
Yeah, like I personally had no trouble with it.
No,
but
I don't think anybody else probably did.
No, but I think it was just dumb luck of where I was facing when it started happening. Like, because I could see everything happening and see which way I was going.
Is that when
and
the
all
camera
that kind of
turned
stuff.
round? And you're running towards the camera.
No.
No.
There's a shootout in a building, and the building falls over, and then you basically have to hop. Like Nathan yells something about "we've got to jump," and then you jump. Which, like, if you see that the building is about to fall, you're that much more prepared for it than if you're, say, in the middle of, because you're in a firefight as well, you're facing the opposite way, and then you start sort of sliding or whatever it is. So yeah, it was just, I don't know if it was dumb luck that the first time I played it through, I literally saw it coming.
Yeah.
And then it meant that when I was playing it through this time, it was like, oh, it's this bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I it just got to the point where like the building kind of, you know, when like Drake dies and it kind of goes to grey, and like the bits of the building are falling around you because, you know, that's just the way the game engine worked and stuff. Just felt like it happened to me quite a few times. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, you know, and just for clarity, I know a lot of people that probably will listen to this that love Uncharted and have played it through many times will have played Uncharted on crushing. I just played it on moderate the whole way through, you know, just to enjoy myself and also to get through it as well. So I'd hate to think that if there was some sort of crushing element to that part of it, like, you know, you have to dodge it. It just seemed a bit strange, really.
That's a point though about difficulties, because I've got a little note here about like explorer and speedrun modes.
Okay,
that
yeah.
we've not really talked about much.
Yeah.
I didn't play them much, but like it was just one of those things that I was like, you know what, it's kind of cool that they've got them in here.
Yeah.
You know, fair play. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think it necessarily adds oodles to the replay value. It certainly didn't for me. But yeah, just wanted to quick mention that they were there and well played. But I was going to sit and try playing through one of them on explorer mode, just to see what it was like, and I didn't get around to it. I ran out of time. But I did think, like, do they just like get rid of the combat completely, or like how's this going to work?
It just lies down.
Everyone hands you flowers as you walk past.
Well,
welcome to our island. Here are our treasures.
Why are you crouched down behind that box for so long, Drake?
But
well,
that's
at this point, normally, what would happen?
That's what I was going to mention. Like, can you imagine if that is the case, like Uncharted 1 on Explorer mode?
Yeah.
So
You're
nice.
just
Done.
like,
Done. That was quick.
through
Yeah,
it,
no.
have a lovely walk. Yeah.
I do feel like with this one as well, though, I think that speaking out loud about it has made me feel like that middle section is just absolutely superb. The end kind of loses its way a little bit again.
Yeah.
The settings, I do like the Tibetan icefall area that you're walking around when Ten's in, and I quite like the sort of as you're kind of climbing through those sort of, you know, ice caves, if you will, and I quite enjoyed the solitary bit in it. And then the supernatural bullshit happens again, and then it kind of gets a bit bombastic again, so it kind of picks up a little bit, and you're like, oh, this is fun. And then you get up to the monastery, and it's like, oh, I've got to go to this switch, then this switch, then this switch, then this switch, and it's just like, you know, about 5 switches to get into Shambhala, and I'm like, I understand that it's a lost world, but it's just a lot of switches, like, you know, and yeah, it felt like it kind of lost its way a little bit again, like the first one, just not as criminally as the first one did towards the end. I do remember speaking about the cinematics of it, and there's almost a cinematic that drops in a camera angle that drops in above the monastery. You see the monastery, and almost like, you know, in Final Fantasy VII where you pan up from cloud to see the Shinra building. You're like, wow, that's pretty fucking cool. This time it pans down from the monastery and drops in behind Drake and Elena climbing on a cliff, and you're like, it's just like really good camera work, and I'm like, wow, that looks awesome to go straight into gameplay. You know, and that was missing from the first one. And you could tell that there was just more of those moments in this one. Yeah. And that immediately elevated it, really. I kind of had it... I don't know if I was okay with them pouring one out over a dead Nazi at the end. Like, you know, the Schaefer or whatever it is. Like, and so Schaefer went into the Tibetan mountains with his Nazi party to try and find paraphernalia, once again, Indiana Jones. And in the end, like, I know that it kind of makes out that he was a good Nazi, because he kills his... you know, party or whatever that he's with. But then they're like, oh yeah, you know, they get back like, oh, Schaefer, this was for you, mate. And I'm like, you didn't fucking know the guy. He was a fucking Nazi. Like, as in, it just felt like such a misstep. And then it's like, oh, Elena and Drake kiss over it. And I'm like, I don't... What's going on now?
Like, they do just like have a really weird thing going on.
Couples that mourn Nazis together stay together, apparently, I guess.
I don't think you get to be like, oh, well, he had this one redeeming feature. We'll just ignore the rest of that.
Yeah, it just seems so weird. I think that in this one, it wasn't as on the nose with Drake's sort of like outbursts of like, you know, like the, oh shit, no, oh no. Like I think that's kind of there, but there seems to be a little bit more self-admonishment, I think, really, in this one, where he kind of talks to himself a few more times. It's just like, and I always think one of the best moments in movie history for me is when John McClane sort of says, you know, like, why didn't you shoot them? It's like, then because you'll be dead too, asshole. Like, you know, and it feels like he's doing those little quips a lot more in this one.
Yeah, definitely.
And I feel much. I don't know what it is about me, but I'm just like, I love that about that, and it just.
I playing the train. I got reacquainted with my favourite bit from the whole series. I think when you have this attack helicopter coming in, you just like poncing through a carriage, having shot a load of people, as you do.
Poncing.
It's like, you know, how am I going to take down that hello as he finds this anti-aircraft gun? It's like, you know what? Like that's fun. I appreciate that. I like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he definitely does do a lot more of the, and he seems to be on his own more.
Yes.
In this one than the first game anyway.
Yeah, I think that they do an okay job with the companions. Tenzin gets him away a little bit, you know, a bit. Well, especially when we're trying to fight one of those fucking Guardian bastards, and it's just like, you know. And that was another thing at the end where it's like they try and sort of give you better weapons to fight these supernatural Guardian people. And I know that sounds like a spoiler, but it's really not. Like, you won't be that shocked. And you don't seem to have enough bullets to do it again. And it's almost, it gets to that point where you're like, oh, I'm trapped again in a room again with not enough bullets again. Kind of like, you know, you're not running out and it's not horrendous. But I was at one point, I was like, well, you've given me, you know, superpowered pistol or this superpowered crossbow, and it has like 3 bullets in it. Right. I've missed every single one of those. So that's like, you know, better go pick up this assault rifle and put 300 bullets in him. And it's just like, yeah, it definitely feels like there was some stuff to work out. And I think this again would be something that you could rework and probably get an even better game out of it than Uncharted 1 would be, and not have to do too much to the story necessarily and the characters. Should we go for a score again?
Yeah.
So you're going to come in for one and just, you don't have to.
I feel like I'll abstain, but I think I do agree from what I've seen with everything you said about it just being a more assured piece.
Yeah.
And
assured's a good word.
More cinematic and more like it's trying to wrap you up in the world rather than just be like, you're here for the fighting, here are some fights. It's like, look, we want to show you what we've done.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
Okay.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 8. Perfect.
Ooh, solid.
Nice.
Yeah. And again, on our scoring system, 8's very, very, very
Eight's
good.
really
Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, and I think that a lot of people say that Uncharted 2's up there as one, if not the favourite, then maybe second favourite in the series. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, like, I think that feels fair from what we were saying, probably.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Uncharted 3. So 14 years ago. And again, this is a November baby. So yeah, this month. Let's start off with the plot again. So we open on a London pub transaction with
Sorry. What does that look like?
Well, it looks like the start of Uncharted 3. Like, so
Transaction.
Sounds
some
like
people,
some kind of band from the 70s.
well, it's
the illicit happening in the toilet.
the back room of a pub. People are dealing on top of a pool. No, it must be a snooker table. Snooker
Have you ever
table.
been to a London pub?
Yeah, recently. Yeah, that was happening. So a London pub transaction with Talbot, who's working for Catherine Marlowe, who is the big bad. Drake and Sully have a flashback to their first meeting, and then they're thrown into an adventure to find the lost city of the Iram of the Pillars. Sorry, Iram would be probably better to say, wouldn't it? They're kind of racing against Marlowe to get there. Again, it's not clear till the last 10 seconds of the game why they're doing that, which is shit. But you've got a little bit of a bigger party now, because you start the game with Charlie Cutter, who's a new character who you don't see again, I don't think, in the series, but I quite enjoyed him as a character. Chloe once again, and then Elena turns up once more later on. And this is very swashbuckles, I feel like, without getting into piracy as they do in Uncharted 4. This is, and you're following the footsteps of, is it Lawrence of Arabia, and again Sir Francis Drake once more, called Drake's Deception. So you kind of go, there's a lot more locations in this one, it feels like. You go London, then you get the flashback to Colombia, and then you get France for a chateau sort of showdown. Syria, where you get sort of into the desert, and then all of a sudden you kind of find yourself, oh no, that's the Syria is where you get the fortress, and then you get Yemen, where you kind of get like the desert, and then you end up out at sea for a little while, which is strange, and then and then you end up back on land in the middle of a desert, and then you end up in is it Rub Al Khali? I think it is desert. I think it is in Saudi Arabia. That's where kind of the game finishes up really. So you do get a little bit more globe trotting on this one, I would say. How about it, you two? Who wants to, kick off this?
I guess again, I'll just be chipping in because I've not really played it. I do at some point before we wrap up this trilogy that I want to talk about Nathan Drake's face, but whenever you feel is appropriate.
We're shaming him here. Nate shame. No, that's cool. Yeah, we'll hit his face at the end. That's fine. Right, okay. Rich, do you want to tell us a little bit?
This is probably the one that I have spent the least time with.
Okay.
All in. I recall the fight in the pub.
Yeah.
I want to say there's a fight in a cargo ship. I want to say there's basically an homage to the bit dangling out the back of a cargo plane from The Living Daylights.
Yeah.
And
would you say it's an homage? Or would you?
Oh, it was a rip-off.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
And a bit in the desert that's actually kind of a fun narrative interlude where he kind of stumbles around and gets a bit lost.
Yeah.
And apart from those bits, I think basically everything about gameplay in my head is very similar to Uncharted 2. I have the impression that it was a kind of, well, it's maybe not broken, but it's still good. It's still good. And I don't know how accurate that is.
I would say, I'm not gonna, it's not an argument necessarily, but I think that the camera work and the gameplay in general seems to feel a bit reworked. Okay. I think it feels better.
Okay.
I would say it feels the best it felt in the first 3 games. And it feels more akin, certainly, don't get me wrong, it's not the same, but more akin with 4 than maybe even 1 and 2. Okay. It feels like a stepping stone to me. There's something in my head where it felt like it almost like the cameras, it feels like it's much more on a dynamic sort of dolly behind his head when he's doing the platforming. Certainly much more so than Uncharted 1 when you were talking about before, Fee. And I think that it feels like you can manipulate it better when you're doing the platforming and also the run and gun. So I would say that, I think there's more to it than that.
Right.
But that's only because I've played it recently and just kind of stuck in my memory as something I was like, oh, actually, that's an improvement I saw on 1 and 2. You're right about sort of like, the London pub boozer sort of thing. It kind of falls into a trap of having the same sort of enemies a lot more, I feel like, in this one than any other. You kind of get your skinheads in either suits or flat caps, kind of in a way. And then you end up with this weird sort of this is the fighting gameplay. The stealth feels a bit better, but you kind of like have a bit of a reworked way that you do, where you have fist fights basically, and it's almost like a QTE sequence where it's sort of like, you get the quick time event where you tap triangle to avoid being punched by the big brute, and then he tries to land another punch when you see you tap square. And there's a bit more of that to it than there was previously, I think.
So that I think that was in Uncharted 2.
It was,
but you didn't get the button prompts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was kind of more reliant on, you had those 2 states, didn't you? Right. You were either swinging your fists or you'd been grabbed and you had to press triangle.
Yes.
And that was about it, right?
Yeah.
So this mixes it up a little bit more.
Yeah, there's a bit more to it than that,
Right.
but it happens more often also.
Right.
It's almost like it expects you to get into more fisticuffs more often, I would say.
Got you.
Are the mechanics for that nice? Because I remember Uncharted 1, the couple of times I had to punch people did not go well.
Better. They are better.
Yeah. Certainly by Uncharted 4, right? It feels like they are hoping that you are in more fist fights than gunfights a lot of the time, I think.
Which I think makes more sense to the character.
Yeah, of course it does. And this sounds like that's them starting to figure it out.
Yeah. I also felt as well that this suddenly falls back into that Uncharted 1 trap of not really having a great story at all. As in you feel like you're doing all the set pieces, all the great set pieces that you get out of Uncharted 2. but none of them are strung together by any sense or semblance of sense, certainly. That is in, you know, it felt like with Uncharted 2, from Nepal, the start of Nepal to the end of the Nepal sequence, like it just made sense for how all the set pieces ran together. Like it made sense that the temple was falling down and, you know, the helicopter smashed a building and you ended up on the train. Like it just felt like this perfect downhill roll that you were getting into.
Yeah, it was a journey, wasn't it?
Yeah. Whereas with this one, you kind of just go, right, here's a cool sequence, here's a cool sequence. And at one point, it's almost like, yeah, let's go to France, to the chateau. And then it's like, you know, and then the chateau's burning as it like collapses around you. And that, it looks incredible and it's really cool. But again, it's like, that's just to do almost. And then it's like, let's go to Syria now and let's go to this nighttime, you know, castle. And it just, none of it really kind of sat well with me in terms of how you get to certain places. But I almost feel like, and this, I think this is a personal preference of mine, I felt like I enjoyed the set pieces in this more because I think the gameplay is better. And when I spoke about going out to sea, because I think that this really rankles a lot of people actually, is that it just doesn't make any fucking sense that you kind of go from the main storyline and then all of a sudden for 3 chapters you just kind of cast out to go and find this pirate because you think Sully's over on the ship, but actually all you're doing is you're swinging through an old shipwreck, you know, an old sort of like wrecking yard, and doing lots and lots of climbing and Uncharted platforming and lots of gunplay. Then you end up doing effectively like a boat chase, almost like a Grand Theft Auto 5-esque boat chase, and then you end up on a cruise ship that ends upside down and sinking.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever, but my God, is it fun to play? Like, it's just honestly, it's just so much fun for that sequence. And all of a sudden, then you just get coughed back up on land, and then you end up doing the plane sequence, and it just like, yeah, it's just fucking nonsensical, but brilliant. Like, just, you know, like, and if you just take your brain out, that where is it like? And this is what I meant about the Uncharted 1 thing. It felt like you had to take your brain out to kind of enjoy it to a certain extent. And this one is exactly, it was just much better because the gameplay is much snappier, and Drake's sort of, you can see where his animations are much better, like climbing down ropes and reaching for things and stuff, and you know where you're going with it really. And yeah, that bit of it, I remember just thinking, wow, I've had a great time. And then I like looked on the internet and the opinion was like, oh God, isn't that bit shit? Because it totally takes out the game. And like, yeah, it does. That is shit. But also, it's really good. Yeah, it's just really fun. So yeah, it's just like an odd drug for a little while. Yeah, I think that there's also, you kind of, I don't know. I feel like this is shorter. Like, it is shorter. And it could have even been an hour shorter, like, as well, almost in a way, like, as in it was almost detrimental it lasted as long, like, as in you get into the desert at the end and you do that. I think a lot of people kind of say, I always do this, a lot of people, you know who, like, as in show me some evidence. Some things that I've read on the internet from certain reviews or different people, there's a lot of fans that enjoy Drake wandering around the desert and talking to himself and finding himself, sort of thing. And I get that. I didn't have as much impact on me as I thought it would do. Like, as in, you know, like, as in when I kind of got there, and I didn't really know much about it. Like I said, I didn't really know anything about the games until I kind of got into them. But I kind of left it a bit and was a bit like, is that it? Was that the bit where we all found ourselves as fans and Drake's sort of best friends and stuff, and we all got to the deep part of his soul? I was like, I don't think I got there. Like, I just don't think I got there. Hi, Fee.
Hello.
Hands.
I'm wondering if it's a good time to talk about Nathan Drake's face.
Okay, let's talk about his face now then.
I was also gonna, you know, it wasn't just his face. It's my starting point, but just kind of his character as well.
Okay,
like,
yeah. Well, we're getting towards the end of the Nathan Drake collection, so it's probably a good time to talk about him. Yeah, go for it.
I just think, you know, the first game, I had written down that he's just really middle of the road. I think, you know, everything about him, he's like a mid-noughties Next catalogue model. You know,
he
like, I can imagine him in
like
those
that,
like, you know, woolly jumpers with the sort
of
like toggles on them.
Yeah. They're there, definitely.
And like, you know, he's like a sort of standard-ishy white bloke. but do you know, he's like
These slurs are getting better. Keep going.
non-threateningly handsome.
Yeah, I get that.
I don't know, like he's good looking, but like not interesting in any way.
I certainly didn't feel threatened.
Yeah.
I think, you know, he's got like those little wisecracks and things, but it still wasn't much to go on character-wise to the first one, I think, for me, because also the plot was a little incomprehensible at times. I didn't really get why he was doing much of what he was doing, other than I've got a vague theory I might be linked to this guy and I like treasure. I'm going to find some treasure.
So, hang on, right. Do you have more? Because I had a question for the room.
Go on.
Did anybody, at any point in this collection, other than times you were prompted, flick through any of his journals?
I did, yes.
I
Right.
don't think I had anything to flip through.
Right. So,
You're Indiana Jones in me right now, aren't you?
Well, no, like...
Read the journal. I will, I'm sorry.
But the only reason I mention it is because the number of times I played Uncharted 2, this was the first time I'd actually gone through and really paid attention to any of the other pages except the one that I needed.
Yeah.
And I would hesitate to say that there was much, like, character depth there, but there was some.
Stuff. Yeah, there's stuff.
There was more than I was expecting.
I just think stuff like that shouldn't be
Hidden?
I think I've argued about this in your podcast before. Like the meat of the kind of character stuff and your story stuff shouldn't be in the bits that you have to go out of your way to look at.
That's fair.
That should be like a little garnish. But I'm really glad none of your listeners can see
I
the
liked-
hand gesture.
I liked the
I just
little-
did.
Oh my God.
That was so dramatic.
That was excellent.
I now regret not being a video podcast
Yeah,
just
I was gonna
for that
say.
moment. Like, that was
Wow.
fucking brilliant. Like, is it?
Gone proper fucking Amdram director on us here.
But I think, because I was going to ask
Garnish.
Fazz, you know, like, because I know even in Uncharted 2, I think there was a bit more spark to things, and like, you know, there was that big kind of character bit in Uncharted 3 where it sounds a little bit like he was sort of, what's that Julia Roberts one? Is it Eat, Pray, Love? Was he sort of doing that? Was he just having a spiritual moment in the desert? But like, you know, did you feel that, like, because you've done it from start to finish now, within that trilogy, did you feel you got a real sense of, like, this is a really clear character now, and I'm really on board?
No. And I genuinely think that might be why Uncharted 4 happened. That is and why it was twice as long as the rest of them, because I think they did get to a point where, and we'll talk about that at the start of the next podcast, because there's a little kink in that, but certainly the same team started to develop Uncharted 4, and that changed. But yeah, I do think that they've felt like they left a lot on the table. And I guess that's what I wanted to make that point all the way back at the start. In my head, certainly, that this is the 58th best-selling franchise of all time. It's not the 10th. It's not the 5th.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost, and there's been enough games for it, I think, to be able to, certainly in the modern era, for PlayStation 4, one of the best-selling platforms of all time, and PlayStation 3, whilst it didn't, they brought this back out on PlayStation 4, and it went again. And it's not necessarily got everything in it that it should have in it. That is in to have, you know, to tell that. So to call it the Nathan Drake collection, it's the garnish.
3 games with Nathan Drake in.
Yeah. So yeah, I do think it's a fair point that I feel like it's a little bit unfinished. So yeah, and that does, I think more gets said later. Yeah, this kind of, I kind of written a couple of different games down for this one that I felt were more relevant, rather than when I sort of talk about Indiana Jones and Tomb Raider and Gears of War. Excuse me, there's the beer coming back up. So this one I had, stay with me here, people that are listening. I had Halo 3 and I had Metal Gear Solid 4. Now it felt like we were at that era where bigger was better. Bloat was okay for things. Metal Gear Solid 4, your story's kind of told sort of like it's almost like you're watching a movie, and it
70-minute cutscenes.
Yeah, and it's like, and whilst Uncharted 3 doesn't do that, it kind of does without telling you it's doing it. Like you're almost on rails for like half the game, like as in, so you're playing the game, but you're just, it's like during a set piece, so you're running away from the chateau. And yes, you have to complete that part to do it, but you only have to press jump once or twice or something, and you're done. And all it's really focusing on is look how impressive this chateau is that's collapsing around you and things. And that's kind of what Metal Gear Solid 4 was kind of about. It was almost like cutscenes and you being part of a a cinematic experience, and the end of Halo 3 is almost like a similar sort of thing where, yeah, well, actually, I'm probably doing a disservice to was there and the Halo 3, but you have to drive the Warthog and everything's blowing up around you and things and stuff, and it's like you still have to do something, but really you're just part of what's happening. That isn't you're not
it's the spectacle of it.
Yeah. And I felt like that was most of Uncharted 3. I think that I'm probably, whilst that sounds like I'm damning it with fake praise, actually I'm probably a person that quite enjoys that. I like the end of Halo 3. I like Metal Gear Solid 4. I like this. Like, it probably isn't this. I don't think I'm drinking from the same cup of tea that everyone else is when it comes to Uncharted. That actually I don't mind doing a little bit and being part of. Wow, isn't that fucking bombastic and cool? So that didn't bother me too much, but I just thought it was worth noting that that's how I felt. It was more like those games, and certain parts than it was Gears of War, for example. That isn't back in Uncharted 1. Yeah, and just the last note I wanted to make about it is these three is that I don't think any of us has mentioned the villains really at all once. Like, as in, like,
they're kind of surplus to requirements, aren't they?
What did they want? Why were they? Like any of them? Was it
Fortune
clear why
and
they
glory.
were doing it?
Fortune and glory.
But I think I don't know. Like, again, from what you guys have just described, it sounds like a similar problem to the first one, where you've got somebody who is very clear it's the bad guy, but actually
they are British.
That's true.
often there's Nazis.
Yeah. Either
But like, I think it's, if you're getting to the end and then it's only clear then why it's so bad what they're doing, that's like not really building up the stakes.
No, I mean, like this is probably again me kind of falling victim of Uncharted 2 being the one that I kept going back to. But before we started doing this, had you asked me to tell you anything, and I do mean anything, like I would not be able to tell you names, but like I mean any kind of like, what are they like? What do they want? Like anything of substance about any of the villains in any of these games. It's only the one from Uncharted 2 that I would have been able to give you anything on. Yeah. Even then, not much, but like, anything.
I think in this one they really tried to sell the Sully Drake thing. Obviously they were like, oh, why is this young man hanging out with this old man? Like, you
guys are hypocrites.
And that was okay. It was fine. Sully's like kind of there the whole time, and then he gets kidnapped again, and he's the fucking liability, not Elena. I tell you that. It feels like and the ending's just so shit after the caravan mission. Is it called caravan, where you're riding on a horse and then you've got to jump?
That kind of caravan. Yeah. In my head it was like the ones outside in the street, and I was like, is he back in London? Is he like...
We're back to watching Americans watching Phoenix Nights. So you're jumping from horse to vehicle and it's really quite fun, thrilling stuff. But again, you've just bumped into Salim, I think his name is, a character that you kind of get the same feeling for, the dude who helps Indiana Jones out at the end of the Last Crusade.
It's Raiders of the Lost Ark as well, isn't it? Going from horse to vehicle to vehicle.
And the guy from The Mummy. That is there's always a tribe in the desert who's willing to help out the American who needs, that is the white American that needs help.
Oh, we've been waiting for you to solve the problem.
Yeah, the other bad guys went this way. Here, take all of our things that we need. Take our horses, our gunfire.
We've been dealing with the problem for decades, but no, you fix it. That's fine.
It's just like, and it's just like how fucking on the nose is it? And just again, it just really loses its way towards the end. But there are some really, for me personally, this is where I think this score is probably subjective for me. I think that this was really thrilling in pockets. That is and it definitely feels like a different experience. I do think that the gameplay does take a step up compared to the other two, and they did try and work it differently. And that different camera angle, it's definitely less annoying than the first two. That's what I would say is good about Uncharted 3. Should we do another scoresy? Yep. 1, 2, 3,
7,
8. Okay. I genuinely, and I thought about this quite a lot. I had it as good as Uncharted 2. And I understand, and I kind of toed and froed with whether 2 was better than this or not. For me personally, I know a lot of people say that it is. But yeah, in my heart of hearts, I just kind of felt that they were on a par, really, for different reasons. But yeah,
I will put Uncharted 3 thrilling pockets in number 8.
Well, no, but we can talk.
We'll
can
worry
talk
about it in
that,
the
yeah.
audit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, can't wait for the audit. It's so good. Started prepping the old spreadsheet for that bad boy. Well, no, it's already prepped because you're doing
Making a list, checking it twice.
Yeah. Oh, so much fun. I love this time of year for our podcast. This time of year in general. Like you talk about being enthusiastic, and here we are. So that brings us to a close on the Nathan Drake collection. That was really fun. I really enjoyed that, and it was good because I feel like we were really kind of fair about something that has probably not aged particularly that well,
No.
but has lots of amazing thriller moments in there.
Shout out to the theme tune as well.
Yeah.
Ba, 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 ba. Yeah.
What? Wait, it's not good. We've not been doing Good, Bad, the Ugly. No, what?
Whatever.
On that note, thank you very much for listening.
Cheers.